Slíagwich Akara, and welcome back to the Mórrígan Academy podcast, where we explore the myths, magic and mysteries of Ireland's great battle goddess. I'm Lora O'Brien, modern Dree, priest of the Mórrígan, and someone who's been walking this path with her for over 2 decades now. Today we're exploring something crucial and something that I honestly wish more people were talking about. What does it mean to be in right relationship with the Mórrígan? Not just in theory, not just in ritual, but in practice, in your everyday life, in your actions, in your learning, and in the way you carry yourself in connection to this powerful, complex goddess and the culture she comes from. So what is right relationship anyway? Let's break this down. The phrase right relationship gets used in some spiritual spaces, but not always clearly. So in the context of Irish culture and spirituality, it's tied to the old concept of Fear Flaha, which is the sovereign truth that holds society, leadership and the land itself in balance. Right relationship is about respect, accountability, reciprocity. It's not about being perfect. It's about staying aligned with the values and the boundaries of the being or entity or land that you're trying to work with, not just what you want from them. So when it comes to the Mórrígan, this means understanding who she is through her own traditions, not through projection or popular reinterpretation. It means approaching her with humility, not entitlement. And it means being willing to learn from discomfort and to change as a result. She is a goddess of change, right? So where the problem starts is often mismatched expectations. I've seen a lot of people step onto this path with the best of intentions, honestly. I'm not here to throw shade at anybody. But they come at it from this kind of modern, often commercialized mindset. They want instant gratification, they want signs, they want power, they want connection, but they don't want to do the uncomfortable work. And the Mórrígan, she is the uncomfortable work. She is the uncomfortable work that we need to do to change the world. That's her whole job, right? She's not here to hand out affirmations and compliments. She's really here to call you into your own sovereignty, your truth and your actions, especially when they're hard. So right relationship with her means getting honest about where your ideas about her come from. Are they based in Irish lore or Pinterest posts? Do they honour her story, her culture, her voice, or just create memes for Facebook? Or are they about how you want to feel? Those are questions that you really need to sit with. We all need to sit with them. So, what does right relationship look like? Let's get really practical about this. What does it really look like in your day-to-day practice? How do you do it? Number 1 is about learning from the source. You can't honour someone if you don't really know who they are. And for the Mórrígan, that means learning from her original Irish stories. Tombo Coolnia, Cohmot Shira, Tombo Regavna, and others. And yes, the language, the structure, the flow, the format can be tough for our modern conceptions. It takes effort. That is the point. Right relationship means being willing to meet her on her own ground, not trying to drag her into yours. Point 2 would be about respecting the culture that she comes from, and this is a big one. The Mórrígan is a figure from Irish myth, rooted in Irish land, Irish language, Irish worldview and culture and context. That does not mean that you have to be Irish to honour her, but it does mean that you need to be respectful of Irish culture. So This involves learning from Irish teachers when you can, and again, not just me. There are many, many people who live and work here in Ireland. I'm probably the one who does the most accessible content that is very academically sound. I will be very honest about that. But not learning just about the Mórrígan is important as well, because you're learning about Irish culture. So other Irish teachers are teaching different things, and you'll find many of them on YouTube. The Crafty Kayak, Amy O'Riordan, The Ditch Witch, Tara Tyne, Hagen Dice, Stefan, The Bearded Badger, Mark. Those are just some off the top of my head. And learning from these Irish teachers, Orla Costello, who runs Bridget's Forge, all of these teachers are not me, not mine, friends of mine, some of them, definitely, not all. Well, we would be at least colleagues, let's say, but it is a lack of opportunity in some cases to not actually be close friends. But while you're learning from these teachers, then it's very important as well to avoid cultural appropriation. And people really get their backs up when I talk about cultural appropriation. If that just happened to you, please, please, please look up what cultural appropriation actually is and what the difference is between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. And again, a lot of this will come back down to right relationship. So if you're doing this work, then you are often avoiding cultural appropriation. And a really important one is not just like cherry picking symbols or words or stories and just calling it Celtic. We have a history here of colonisation, as you probably know, of language loss, of religious suppression. And when you honour the Mórrígan, you're stepping into a sacred space that carries that history and that culture and that context. It's really important that you're treating all of this with care. Point 3, I suppose, would be reciprocity. The Mórrígan isn't a vending machine. She's not here to grant your wishes. She is not a genie in a bottle. She asks for effort, for truth, for follow through. And you have to be the one that starts this relationship. Very rarely she will show up, and usually it's because she has specific work for a person. It is not necessarily something that you want to happen in your life, for the Mórrígan to spontaneously pick you. But it is very, very easy for you to pick her and to approach her and to start building a relationship with her. And honestly, when you're in relationship with a god or a goddess, or you want that, then that's on you, because they're very busy and important and usually do not notice us humans until we make ourselves useful and known to them. If the Mórrígan helps you through a battle in your life as part of this relationship, what are you offering back? Where are you in this? It's not just candles and crystals, but actual action. How does that happen? How are you living differently now because of her guidance? How are you creating change in the world? How are you showing up in service to her values? That's all part of the reciprocity. And again, it's on you. It's your responsibility. And I guess the last point, a very practical thing to do when you are considering right relationship with any entity or deity or culture that's not yours, when you mess up, and we all do it, you need to own it. You need to be accountable. So staying accountable is very, very important for anybody within the community. Certainly for community leadership, for anybody who is wanting to take on any kind of role or responsibility. And honestly, even just staying accountable to ourselves as much as to the Mórrígan. And right relationship means not just saying that you respect her, but proving it in your response when you get something wrong. how do you change if you've messed up? You can learn from the mistake. You can apologize if needed. But the real apology is when you do better, when you make that change and live it, because that's how trust is built. And again, that goes for everybody in your life, but very much goes for any relationship with the Mórrígan. So let me just share a couple of moments from students who have learned this the hard way, unfortunately, and come out stronger for it, naming no names. But one woman that I was working with about a decade ago began honouring the Mórrígan after a personal crisis that she had had. She lit candles, she made offerings, but she kept asking for help without shifting her behaviour. And after months of silence, she had a dream where the Mórrígan stood beside her, arms crossed, saying only, "Why haven't you moved?" And that was a turning point for this particular woman. She realised that she'd been sitting around waiting for signs instead of acting on what she already knew she had to do. Now, another student more recently was leading rituals in their local community using symbols from Irish lore, but hadn't actually read the myths, wasn't familiar with it. And when someone asked her about her sources, she kind of panicked. She came to me embarrassed but determined. She paused her public work. She took a deep dive really into proper study. She did our Mórrígan intensive program with me. And she came back months later, after all that, with a depth of knowledge, came back to her own community with a depth of knowledge and clarity that had completely transformed her practice and how she showed up for her own community. And that's right relationship there. It's not perfection, but it's integrity. And it's really important that we all take lessons like that on board and live our values in those ways. So if you're ready to deepen your devotional practice, if you're ready to honour the Mórrígan in a way that's grounded, practical and respectful, I do invite you to join our dedicated workshop. We have 5 devotional practices to start your connection with the Mórrígan, and it's designed to help you move from uncertainty into real connection with practices that work in real life, in your everyday life. So I've given you a lot of like the theoretical stuff as part of this podcast, and that is a resource that's available for more practical stuff as well, because obviously nothing happens in a vacuum. So just to finish up this episode, what does it mean to be in right relationship with the Mórrígan? It means honouring her truth, not just your version of her or projections of her or fantasies of her actual truth. It means studying and learning, not guessing or, going with your feelings. It means showing up with courage, with integrity, and the willingness to change, but also to create change and take responsibility for that. Now, absolute truth of it is that this path isn't easy, but if you walk it with honesty, she will meet you where you are, and she will show you what you're capable of becoming. So you can find more episodes like this on our podcast here. Wherever you're listening to this, please leave a review, a rating, whatever you can do to bump up the podcast. That would be very much appreciated. And there is also a free workshop, which is mórrigan.academy/guide. Is the Mórrígan calling you? What are the signs? It's a free PDF download. There is an accompanying workshop, but you can get that guide for free as well. So until next time, honour the lore, respect the Mórrígan, and slán go fóill.